Hi, I'm Dr. Bruce Chalmer. Let's talk about how you communicate with your partner and why that's probably not what you need to work on in couples therapy. Of course, communication is what nearly every couple says they need to work on when they come to the first session. We want to communicate better with each other. If you both want to stay together, but you're not getting along well, of course you want to communicate better. And even if you're intending to split up, you're looking for a way to communicate effectively about the kids or finances or whatever you still need to communicate about. You figure if you could just learn some communication skills, or even better, if your partner would just learn some communication skills, things would be a lot better. When I Googled communication for couples, I got 134 million results. So I guess there's been a fair amount of attention paid to the topic. Well, I'm here to tell you that your problem isn't how you communicate, or at least it probably isn't. No, your problem isn't that you're ineffective at communicating with each other. Your problem isn't how you're communicating. Your problem is what you're communicating. If you're angry at your partner, I'll bet you convey it very well. In fact, your partner can sense it even if you're trying to hide it. If you think your partner is out to get you somehow, you communicate that suspicion very effectively. If you think your partner is inferior to you, if you have contempt for your partner, you're an expert at conveying that. If you don't respect your partner's right to disagree with you or to question you or question your understanding or raise objections to something you want, your partner is well aware of your disrespect because you're very competent at communicating it. Of course, if you're feeling love toward your partner and honor and gratitude, you're almost certainly conveying that effectively too. If you feel like the two of you are a unit, if you feel that my beloved is mine and I am my beloved's, your partner probably knows it because your behavior says it. If you and your partner are communicating a lot of those sentiments to each other, I probably won't have the pleasure of meeting you in my office. You won't need me, at least not for your relationship. Now, occasionally I meet couples for whom the problem really is communication, often because one or both partners are neuroatypical in some way. For example, they show some autistic characteristics and really do have difficulty detecting or interpreting or conveying emotions. For them, learning some communication strategies can be very helpful. But for the large majority of couples I meet, difficulty communicating isn't the problem. As I said, the problem is what you're communicating. So what do we work on in couples therapy if not how to communicate more effectively? Well, let me refer you to my video called The 2 Golden Gifts for Your Relationship. To summarize briefly, we want 2 things from our relationships: stability and intimacy. Again, check out the video for an explanation. Stability skills are all about reducing or avoiding anxiety. Stability skills require character, a clear moral and ethical compass that shows your partner you can be trusted, because trust lowers anxiety in the relationship. And stability skills are all about handling the inevitable differences that arise between you without freaking out. If you've been together for a while, you've probably figured out how to deal with a lot of those differences. Sometimes it's charming and you're fine with it. Sometimes it's annoying, but in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter to you, so you can easily laugh it off or ignore it, which is just what you need for a stable relationship. But sometimes a difference comes up that matters a lot. You don't like how your partner is speaking to you or the kids, or pressuring you or otherwise treating you disrespectfully. Or you wish your partner would be more open to new experiences, or have more or better sex, or would be more helpful to you. Or you object to how your partner is spending money or spending time. Or maybe you're feeling disconnected from your partner and want to find a way to reconnect. To talk about any of those things can be scary. It feels risky. So what a lot of couples do is avoid the conversation in the interest of protecting stability, which would be fine, except that stability isn't enough. We also need intimacy. If you avoid intimacy to protect stability, your relationship will become unstable anyway. If stability is the roots of a relationship, intimacy is the energy for growth. A relationship that doesn't protect its roots will fall apart, but a relationship that cuts off intimacy will wither and die. We need both stability and intimacy for a relationship to thrive. As I mentioned, stability skills are about lowering or avoiding anxiety, but intimacy skills are about tolerating or even raising anxiety, not lowering it. To the extent that stability skills are about character, intimacy skills are about courage. To be honest with yourself and honest with your partner means being willing to risk raising your own and your partner's anxiety because you don't know how your partner will react. Now, I have to admit, I haven't checked out all of the 134 million Google results on communication for couples I mentioned earlier, but generally the ones I have seen are about techniques for lowering anxiety when you talk to each other. In other words, they're about stability, not intimacy. And a lot of the techniques, like active listening, I statements, nonviolent communication, and the like, are representations of how good people of good character, behave with each other when they're basically calm. So they're often good models to aspire to for a stable relationship. But the techniques don't help when you're afraid to say what you need to say. In other words, when you need to risk intimacy. If you're terrified, you won't remember the techniques anyway. And what couples often do is fight about anything and everything except the actual difference that's scaring them, because it feels less scary to blame each other than to face the problem. So, what do we do in couples therapy if it's not practice communication techniques? Of course, each couple has its own path, but mostly we work on intimacy skills, learning to get hold of yourself and getting to the right argument and developing faith in reality in order to work with it are some of the essentials. Because when you can tolerate the anxiety of intimacy, you'll stop the pointless squabbling and be able to connect with each other honestly, and you'll grow emotionally and spiritually in the process. Want to find out more? Check out the other videos at brucechalmer.com. You'll also find information there about couple intensives. Or drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you.